Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Robert Becerra. Think back just a few years ago, and there's one name that will be all over the news: Edward Snowden. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about him and all the things surrounding him and what he did. As a young boy, Edward Snowden grew up with a father and a mother who was heavily involved in the government. They both were very high up in their respective careers. His father was an engineer for the Coast Guard and worked on high-level technology, breaking edge technology, in other words. His mother was a government official for the federal government, working with Washington, D.C. in the White House. His father would bring home all these projects and these broken down, like, new technologies, and as a boy, he would look through his window and watch his father work, and it started to fascinate him. He got a love from computers and technology and fixing things from his father. Saw these, and one particular night, his father was working on something. It was a Nintendo. He had brought it and he was playing with it. His father was playing with it. And Snowden just so happened to see it, and he accidentally made a noise for the first time in all the nights that he'd been watching his dad through his window. And his dad told him, "Come here." And from then on, his love grew. His father fed his passion and helped him grow his mind and to become one of the geniuses that he was throughout his high school and college career and his careers with the government. As a boy, as growing up, he chose to think outside the box, found ways around problems. He was a problem solver, at least for himself. When he was in high school, he had a specific teacher who sent out a syllabus. Now, this syllabus stated you had to do this, so many assignments, and it outlined just like a basic class would, our college syllabus. And it would outline the assignments, their due dates, the tests, and your overall grade average and everything, what it would be if you made 100% on everything, all your points. Well, he found out, he figured all the numbers, and explained to himself that if I don't do any of the homework, but I take all my tests, I can still make an 85, which is a decent B, and I can get through my class. So less work for me, right? Well, his teacher questioned him one time, wondering why he hadn't turned in assignments. His 12 assignments way past due, hadn't turned them in. Reminds me of a certain someone I know in my family. But he stated his theory. And the teacher was, yeah, okay. Next day, teacher comes back with a syllabus that says you must complete at least 85% of this work or you automatically get a D in the class. Edward Snowden said, well played. Well played. That was his first taste of being able to think outside the box and solve problems in an analytic way. He began working for the government. He never got his high school. He dropped out of high school and never got his diploma. He never got his GED. He was just someone who was really, really smart and liked to learn, much like the inventor of the iPhone or the Mac. His name escapes me at the moment. But he began there and started working as an analyst for the NSA, the CIA, and the DIA through contractors like Dell and Booz Hamilton. He was paid to work in top secret classified areas with the government and had tons of access to classified documents, classified technology, and programs that were running classified missions. Throughout his time, he had one person in his life that was consistent. And that one person was Lindsay. As he stated in his bibliography, Snowden, permanent record, she was the only one that could actually understand me and surprise me most times with her outlook on life. These occurrences with her and throughout it help him have a normalcy of the constant stress and worry that he obtained from working with the government and having access to such knowledge throughout his time in his career. All this knowledge and stress and access to these programs that he had kind of took him over the edge, and which led to what we all know him now for is kind of a whistleblower, or somebody who leaked a lot of information. Somebody who leaked information about the government, classified documents, stuff that nobody should have seen unless it was redacted and completely led public many, many years later. But that wasn't the case. He felt it was ethically wrong what the government was doing. He leaked certain documents, one being a FISA court order, which was supposedly a secret court that would allow them to go around the actual courts or the public courts to get warrants to search and seize certain documents, certain text messages, phone records, stuff like that. But they could use the FISA court orders to do these things without having to go to the public, and it would never be published. He released a document like that. He also released other programs that the government was involved in and that made, and that he was also part of and helped be a part of and helped make and build. One of them being Prism, which was basically like a search engine like we use Bing and Google and different things like Yahoo for news, stuff like that. But this one had access to all those programs, had access to the Apple networks, had access to all the databases from Apple, Facebook, Google, Bing, or not at the time, but Bing now, Yahoo, different stuff like that. It had access to all the knowledge and all the database that those networks and those programs had. And the government had it at their disposal and was able to use it however they wanted. They used it to spy on our enemies, and they used it to look into those that were seen as possible targets towards the president, towards the government. But not only was it used for that, it was also used to spy on us as Americans. It was gathering information and data on us daily, hourly, by the minute, as it was doing all over the country and all over the world. He felt it was ethically wrong. He took his oath when he joined the CIA, which he later resigned from. He took his oath to quote, "I, A.B., do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion." When he took that oath, he felt serious about it. And as his involvement in the government grew, he defiantly and ethically grew to become, as in his own words, more liberal. To the simple fact that he felt like the government was crossing lines that they couldn't cross or shouldn't cross when you're dealing with your own citizens of America. But the government liked to justify it in his own words as using it for potential targets, what could become information later. What could become pertinent information to track these targets down, possible terrorism within our own country. Now we can all see the justification in that with school shootings, with terroristic acts going on in our own country, and people flying over from other countries. But then there's also the American citizens who aren't doing anything wrong. And that is where he felt ethically wrong in doing these and being a part of these programs. He released pertinent information for the government about other governments. He leaked the programs and allowed our enemies or our allies to then understand that we have the technology to not only spy on our enemies, but to spy on them at the same time, to get leverage over them, to use these things, their most pertinent and intimate details, stuff like nudity photos, or sex, or love poems that you wrote to your lover, or the fact that you might have cheated and you wanted to hide it, but the government had access to these files, these documents, this data. And they could turn it and flip it and use it against you. This is something that he didn't see was right against the American citizens. And he grew more and more ethically, figuring that doing it to other countries, people who weren't targets but just to leverage, to gain control, the way he saw it, the government was abusing its authority and its programs and its power, its knowledge. That is part of the reason why he did what he did. Now, a lot of us would say that, yeah, maybe, but at the same time, you still leaked it to the enemy. You still put tons of agents and tons of government officials in harm's way by doing what you did, by releasing just those simple information. And it doesn't matter that you didn't release it directly to the governments, but yet you released it to the public, which is, some would say, even worse. Because now everybody has it. It's just like we say, once on the internet, always on the internet. Never goes away. Your footprint's always there. I share this information to you to inform you on somebody who felt he was doing something ethically correct in his mind, but could also be ethically incorrect. That's for each of us to decide, but it's always best for us to arm ourselves with the truth, knowledge, and power of everything that we can find regarding one topic. I thank you.